Good morning, good morning. I'm in a slight, excuse the wet hair and the glasses, slightly different location today with the grandparents, well not my grandparents, my children, my mum. There you go, that's where I'm at. So I'm trying to be upstairs, hoping I won't get distracted or pounced upon. So I'm upstairs in the bedroom. Gosh, you enjoying the sunshine? Oh, right. So the quite a big thing. I have been known to be somebody who reacts really quite. If something triggers me, I go poof, and I react, and it's like ah. I don't know if any of you are like that. I would always say yes, I'm just feisty and rah rah rah, but really I was just triggered by everything, and there's nothing wrong with that necessarily. And being feisty is cool. I'm still feisty, but I tend to not get triggered. And if I am triggered, it's a way of I then have to find another way. And one of the biggest things I've learned is pausing. Right, and it's not just take a breath, count to 5. It really isn't. It was similar to that. It is quite simple, but when you're in that kind of triggered mode, so if anybody wants to write to me, I'm on my phone, so I'm sure I can see comments. If anybody wants to write any comments about what triggers you, generally you tend to find anything that's close to your heart. So I probably still get triggered when it's about my children. And I'm working on that, because what's really unhelpful, as you may find, is when you're triggered, you go woof, you'll say something, you're like, damn it, I wish I'd either been more concise, I wish I'd just shut up. I wish I'd done myself a bit more justice than like, you know, reacting like that. And there are absolutely things that you can do to not do that. But first of all, you need to figure out what does trigger you. So if you can think about what really, if somebody says something, what is it? What really gets to you? And then, apart from working on that and figuring out what that is, it is then okay, so what do I want to come out of this? So should somebody say, God, you're a crap mother, should you go, ooh, how should you deal with that? But basically what's happening, just so you understand what's happening when you're being triggered. So really, really simply, and really, you know, not because you're simple, because otherwise I'll talk forever and nobody needs that. So really simply, when you're triggered, and you get that moment, it's like that kind of shock feeling. And the reason you react like you do, and it's probably quite childish the way you react, right? The reason is because when we react like a child, it's because we basically go back to that point when it first happened, or one of the times it's happened. And that generally is quite young. So to give you an example, say somebody says, oh, you look a bit ugly, and that affects you. It might not, because everyone's got their own triggers, but say the minute someone says to me, oh, why are you wearing that? Ugh, or whatever. I'm sure being grown-ups, they might talk to that, but whatever they say, and you go, how dare you talk to me like that? And you end up going like this and can't talk to me like that. That is basically how you would have reacted when you first got that thing. I'm not explaining this very well today. So literally when you feel that thing of, how can they talk to me? How can someone do that to me? Why would somebody behave like that to me? That is called the freeze response, okay? And that freeze response is basically stored beliefs and energy from a previous point in time. And the stronger, so if you find something always, if you find that you always react to the same sort of thing, if you find that you're always triggered by the same sort of emotion or the same sort of insult telling you, or whatever it is that keeps triggering you, it's probably going to be the same sort of thing. That will be a belief you've set up. So I'm only giving you that, like, because there's no point kicking yourself about it. Like, that is something that has been stored, and it's actually been stored to help you. So when you do get that treatment, your subconscious has said, right, when someone does that, defend, defend, defend. When someone does that, when you hear these words, when you feel that thing, defend yourself. You're going to fight against it, okay? And so it's actually your subconscious trying to save you. Most things that you do in a knee-jerk or an automatic response is your subconscious helping you. It's just you've given it the wrong parameters to work with. So you made probably that decision, for instance, when you were 3 years old, that if this happens, poof, you're going to react like this and you won't get hurt. The problem is that a 3-year-old made the decision and now you're not 3. But that's why you behave a little bit like, and you go into that kind of toddler zone. And you'll see other people saying, why do you act like a child? God, you're such a kid. Oh, God, you're so childish, right? They're not being childish. They're literally reliving that same moment that they did when they were a toddler or a child or whatever. Okay, so that all needs work, and that can be worked on. This is not what I want to talk about today, because that is absolutely what, if you want to not react, that is the one surefire way of doing it. I'm really pink. I was in the sun for ages reading yesterday. It was amazing. So what I would like to teach you is ways to sort of calm the trigger, to recognize it and calm it, and just talk about that. So have a think and see if you can bring up in your body when what is something really pisses you off? What's the last thing that somebody did that you went, I'm going to have you, right? And what did you do? And is it the same thing? So just have a little think. The last time somebody did something that made you react badly. Hopefully you've got something. Or not react badly, react in a way that you didn't want to react in a way that you wish you hadn't, because there's no bad reactions. Actually, sometimes, I wanted to say my point, I wanted to defend myself, but if it's coming from a point of reaction rather than response, right? Because there's one thing to respond in a certain way, it's very different to reacting. Reacting is generally a knee-jerk, you don't think about it, it's automatic, and you're just doing it from automatic. You almost don't remember. I don't remember what I said to them. You've had an argument. Do you ever think, I have no idea what I even said there? Because it's pure, unadulterated, subconscious, blah, 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 blah. When you respond, that is a measured reaction. So you can say, do you know what, that wasn't okay, but how am I going to deal with that? Because being treated like that, or someone talking to me like that, is not something I want to accept. Screaming back at them isn't going to help. So how do I have a measured response back? The key thing for me is just stopping and saying nothing. And you know me, because you're listening to me, saying nothing doesn't come awfully naturally to me. But when you master it, the power of saying absolutely nothing is huge, because it just gives everybody a moment. So if somebody's going meh, 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 meh at you, or they've said something, and if somebody wants to hurt you, they'll know you and they want to trigger you, that's up to them. Remember what's up to you, and remember what's up to them. People can behave however they want. And the biggest lesson I learned was that people can do whatever they want, and there is nothing I can do about it. And when you really take that right back down, no, you cannot control anything anyone says or does. End of discussion. There is nothing you can do. The only thing you can do, and I can do, is control my behaviour and my responses to other people's behaviour. So when I really took that on board and I really started working with that, and then with all the other things that I do and all the other ways to love my life, basically, that was one of the key things I learned. And then I was like, right, okay, so I can only control me. So then they can say what they want. I can take it how I want as well. I get a choice to be affected by it. So you'll tend to find the people who are closest to you will know you very well. And then if you get into an argument, they will automatically want to trigger you. And that's their stuff. They maybe need that. They maybe need to hurt or whatever. But that's nothing you can do about them. All you can do is stop. And the power in stopping, if you could just you don't even have to say to them stop. You can yourself and you put your hand on your heart, or you imagine it, and just breathe. So whether someone's still talking at you, I mean, I've been in some really crazy ass toxic relationships. Yeah. At one point, I was being talked at some years ago now. I was being talked at for hours, just just talked and abused, and you know, gosh, to the point where I went to the doctor, can you give me sleeping pills because I need to be able to sleep through being shouted at because I've got to go to work. That's how bad it got. I mean, that's horrific, isn't it? Like, and the doctor said, maybe you should think about like not being in the relationship, but in the meantime, here's some diazepam, you know, or temazepam, or whatever it was. I literally that's what I was taking in order to stop listening to the shouting. I mean, that's awful. You know, and obviously I changed a lot since then, but you know, but I had to just not listen. Obviously, people like that, you know, you need to walk away from quite quickly. But I'm saying if it's not in it, but that's kind of a very extreme sense. But basically, if somebody triggers you, it's learning to just say, okay, I'm going to sit with that. So let's work on someone says something. So one thing someone has said that's hurt you. So we're not talking about the monologues of how awful you are. We're talking about so someone says, God, you look a bit fat today, or, oh, you're so thick, or, God, you're not even, no. If someone, you know, it's generally, you know, or if someone without meaning to it said, oh, are you alone again? I don't know, whatever might be your trigger. And when you feel it hit you, you almost need to go, whoa. When you feel it hit you and it goes, whoa, like imagine this, like, oh my goodness, you've just called me out and I either want to cry or scream. When you feel it hit you, I just want you to take a deep breath in and say, this isn't mine. This reaction is a reaction. In your head, I mean, I wouldn't say it out loud. You might, well, you can. You know, you might get even, you know, but this is for you. I'm going to choose to let this reaction go. And I would always, because I love tapping, I would always go, gosh, I'm going to choose. Like, you can do it here because no one knows what you're doing. I'm going to choose to let this reaction go. And especially if you get that kind of gosh, why would someone say that to me? Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. You see, if you just hold here or tap here in between your ring finger and your little finger, if you just tap here, right, tap and hold. You can tap here. That is the shock, let the emotion and the energy of shock run through your body. You'll feel that your hands go a bit cold and you'll feel maybe slightly cold sweat. So just to hold here and go, I'm going to choose to let this go. This isn't mine. Whatever the words you need to say in your head, or you can say it out loud, that's fine, okay. I'm going to choose to let this go. Just give yourself a second before responding. Now, if they say, what do you say to that? You know, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to say anything. Because I cannot tell you the power of saying nothing. Especially if somebody's trying to get a rise out of you. Don't do it. And it's something I teach my children as well. That if somebody is being mean to you, the strongest thing to do is say nothing. And it feels like, but I'm not being weak, I'm not standing up for myself. But the strongest thing is knowing that you don't need to. I don't need to defend myself. If that's what you know, and I say it all the time, but one of the biggest, I can't remember even now who taught it to me, but it's one of the most powerful things I think in my head when someone's got an opinion of me that I didn't ask for or request, or somebody I don't particularly respect. Remember that if someone gives you parenting advice and you don't really like the way that they parent, it's advice you don't really need, I assume, you know. If you don't like, someone gives you advice when you don't really like their life and they're giving you advice on how to live, I'm like, oh, okay, I don't want your life, so, you know. But, you know, especially, it's more unsolicited advice, yeah. So, but the best thing I ever heard was, your opinion is none of my business. And I remember when I was in quite a tricky situation with the in-laws and stuff, and quite huge personalities, and wow, was I getting a bashing. And I just stayed really, I was tapping, because letting the emotion, let the energy run through my body, because it was quite hard to just have this onslaught. I think, no, okay. And then, what do you have to say to that? And I went, listen, your opinion is really none of my business. And it was like, I didn't say anything, but like, it really isn't. People's opinion of you is really nothing to do with you. That's their stuff. And they're making opinions about you from their stuff, from their negative stuff, from their beliefs, from everything from them. So taking on other people's opinions of you shouldn't even sit, it doesn't even sit with you. It's not even your life you're coming from. So, that what you can say, okay, so if someone's having a go at you, I mean, you're literally, if someone's wanting to trigger you, that's their stuff. So I choose to let this go. So if you can just remain silent until you don't have, that kind of oh my goodness, someone's really hurt me. That when you don't have that, when your shoulders are relaxed, you've loosened your jaw, and you don't feel the need to say something in defense, then respond. But it might just be one of the best things I actually learned from, it was a marriage expert. They said one of the best things when someone insults you, especially if it's coming from a partner, or when you go, wow. And that's it. And saying, wow. And not like, I can't believe you did that, or blah, blah, blah. Just, wow. If you have to say something, because that shows then visibly shock, but you don't necessarily say anything. Just stop. Just stop right there. Stop in yourself. Let it wash over you. Let it go, and decide that is enough. I'm not going to react anymore. Now, if you're finding that's quite difficult, I would absolutely recommend finding somebody who can take you back to the trigger points, who can take you to where they all began. If it's something you find that, I know for me, I had to stop because I was being triggered all the time, which is a good thing. If the trigger, if you like, the thing that really triggers you is your hot wire to your issue. It's incredible. It's like gold when people are triggered. It is. I find when people are triggered in session with me, it's like, my God, that's where we need to go. That is the goal. That's where the issue is. That's where we can get the healing done. Yeah. But if you are being triggered a lot and it is negatively affecting your life more than you currently want to deal with, genuinely, EFT and matrix and stuff like that is the I would say, from everything I've tried, and I've had loads of therapy, being I was very ill and in a lot of therapy for a lot of years, and the only thing that has gotten me out of anything was EFT, so emotional freedom technique. So tapping is the most effective, hands down, at stopping these reactions, at giving you your power back. Because it goes to source and nips it in the bud and changes perspectives. It is the most quick, easy, safe, gentle, but wow, boy, is it a powerhouse. So if you are finding that you are reacting a lot, or you are in a relationship that is triggering you only because, hey, I've been there, and I absolutely am grateful to that, because without all those triggers, I'd never have got to where I am. I'd never have dealt with them. And so I was triggered all the time. I had to deal with my not enoughs, my fear of judgment, my I'm never going to be good enough for anything. I'm not enough. I'm never going to be good enough. I'm not going to be a good enough wife, mother, Pilates instructor, therapist, anything. I'm not going to be, and yet I am damn good at what I do. I maybe waffle on a bit, but speak to my clients. I'm really good at what I do, and I would never have got there if I hadn't been triggered every single day. So what I would say to you is pause, breathe, let go of your reaction, choose, say, this isn't mine. Choose that what someone has said to you is theirs. Yeah, your reaction is yours, and you have utter control. Know that you have the power and the control over that. So like I say, if you just tap here, or just tap here, or just hold here, no one will know what you're doing. It's okay. And say, whew, and in your head, okay, I choose to let this go. I don't need to defend myself. I'm fine. I don't need to defend anything I do. That is their stuff. This is my stuff. And I might respond in a minute when my shoulders are relaxed and my jaw, and I can smile, and I might respond. But right now, I need to do me. I need to just be here. I tell you, the power in the pause has saved me so much. And not only that, do you know what quite magical happens? They get to pause. Whoever is trying to trigger you, whoever you feel is kind of, this battle, they also get to pause. And what happens is the amount of, God, I'm really sorry about that, or geez, that was really bad of me, or I'm sorry, I shouldn't have spoken to you like that, without even asking for an apology, without demanding anything from anyone else. I don't have that right to demand anything from anyone because it's free choice, free will. So without any of that, I have had people come to me, do you know, I'm really sorry I treated you badly. I'm like, hey, that's fine, that's your stuff. You know, and you know, and going on to a whole different subject really briefly, forgiveness, forgiving people in your heart is such a release. That's not saying that what they do is okay. It's not saying, oh, that's okay, you can do that. But forgiveness, and I'm talking forgiveness as in you let it go from your heart. When you don't hold that in your heart, what someone did to you, you say, do you know what, I have the power to not have this in my heart anymore. And that's not saying what you did was okay, but that's saying it's not mine, and I forgive everything around that. But that's a whole nother thing. So for now, pause, let the energy run through your body, pause, and then should you need to respond, you might not feel the need to respond, should you need to respond, do so, but give yourself the time and the respect for yourself to not react in a way that is not worthy of you. Yeah, hold yourself in the highest regard and say, okay, that's, I can feel that in my body. I can feel like I start kind of, my knee starts going. In case you want to know, if you trigger me, my knee starts going like, and I can just like, right, okay, process. And I don't shut it off. I let it happen, but I just don't respond now. I don't react now, I respond. And most of the time, you'll see me just go quiet, because it's the best way. I promise you, the best way. Try it, let me know. Anyways, it's been like 20 minutes or so I will go. But I would really love to hear your thoughts on that. And I'd love to hear some of your triggers. And let's see if we can work some out. See if we can help each other out with some triggers. But for now, mwah, from with love, absolute, so much love. I've got so much in my heart and it's abundant. So with love from me to you. Have a great day.